Good evening, good morning, good night, where you're watching this transmission. Tis I, Mike Martins. I'm very upset right now. And we've been calling out this for the longest time on this channel. For years now. And it's really hurting me or killing my soul so much is how so many dreams have been destroyed, so many futures have been devastated and destroyed, so many families have been destroyed, so many people not being able to take a certain job because of the affordability levels in housing in the cities that they were hoping to live in. So many people not getting married because they want to settle down in a house and raise kids. So many people not having kids. I'm broken. Now they're sending articles out saying, oh, yeah, by the way, the Canadian dream, oh, why are Canadians so fixated on owning their own property? It's because we want to. Oh, why in Europe, most people rent. They don't want to own and this and that. So what are you trying to say? That only elites are allowed to own property in their own country they were born and raised in, and they work 2 jobs? So what are they trying to say in these articles? I've been fighting so hard for the middle class and working poor because we are a disappearing act in Canada. We've been forced out of our major cities in Australia, New Zealand, UK. You name any English-speaking country. Even the west coast of the United States. The entire west coast of the United States. Crippled. Took our dreams away. Took away our ability to home ownership is like a sense of freedom and individuality. Having your own and calling what is yours, yours. They stole it away from us. They destroyed our dreams. And how do we get it back? We can't. It's so damaged right now. It's so damaged goods right now that... And when I say damaged goods, who's going to pay $1.2 million for a detached bungalow built in 1910? Realistically, the same house in Houston, Texas is worth $93,000. Who's going to pay $1.2 million for that? When we talk about other cities and stuff, oh, that's so cheap. When I tell people how much money I paid for my house in Merritt here, oh, that's so cheap, Mike. No, it's not. That's what it's worth. Housing is not supposed to be worth 17 times your income. Doctors can't even afford to live in their own cities, that they have to build specialty housing and call it, they don't want to call it government housing for affordability levels. They want to call it affordable rent for a 1-bedroom should start at $2,200. You know who they're targeting? The public sector workers, because doctors have to drive 2-3 hours into cities just to go work. Who would have thought being a doctor would drown you in debt? Or I've always thought being a doctor was the greatest thing when I was a child and make lots of money. I get emails from doctors all the time telling me that they're struggling and they make a mid-6-figure income and they can't buy food. Anyways. Money laundering funded $5.3 billion in BC real estate purchases in 2018, report reveals. That's just 2018, $5.3 billion. Not pesos, not bolivares, not escudos. Canadian, 5.3, that's 4.6 or 4.52 billion US dollars. It's stolen our dreams. It's destroyed our futures. It's relocated us. It's made cities like Penticton, Vernon, Kamloops, Kelowna, all those cities turning into kind of swampy, dangerous territories because once people mass exodus those major cities, they start moving into the interior, and the element of crime comes with it, always comes with it. We lost. Our dreams are destroyed. The Canadian way is gone. I am very disappointed in this. Very disappointed that no governance was put in place to protect the Canadian proper. And when I say Canadian proper, I'm talking about people that came from all over the world. Like myself, I'm a Portuguese, that came to Canada to make the difference, to make it what it was 10 years ago. So how did this start? Yeah, let's do this. Here we go.
Destroy.
One more time.
Destroy.
Our dreams. I'll tell you how it start. Start it with this. Canada competing for wealthy Chinese immigrants. And why do I have a problem with this? Because they deported tens of thousands of Portuguese from the province of Ontario in 05, 06, 07. Tens of thousands of working Portuguese class families that owned houses, paid their taxes, and went to church on Sundays and Thursday night soccer. Look it up. Canada wants more Chinese worker students, tourist says. Okay, that sounds nice. $500,000 per year. Opening more visa offices. McCollum said visas have been increasing from China to about 500,000 per year. But opening more visa offices could help Canada compete for Chinese workers, students, and lucrative business. It's the biggest market in the world. They spend a lot of money. So what they're doing is they're grabbing. So Australia, don't just blame Canada. Australia, UK, New Zealand, they've been competing for rich investors because that's the only way to float an economy that's not exporting. That's the only way to float an economy that's not fabricating and producing. And that's the only way to float an economy. Oh, wait. We got student loans. Whoever bought into that, good luck. And then it goes to this. Then you started seeing the mass exodus of people. Aboriginals and whites leaving Metro Vancouver. This is 2016's numbers. 9,345 whites, 460 Indigenous people left. People born and raised in their own cities and can't afford to live in them. Why? Because we sold out. I've been saying this for years. Go back to 5 years on my channel and see what I've been talking about. 6 years on my channel and see what I was talking about. As a low end middle class Canadian, I'm very disappointed. It's destroyed everything that we were. It's destroyed everything that we built as Canadians. My dad worked tooth and nail for this country. So did my mom. To make it what it was 10 years ago. An estimated $5.3 billion worth of transactions in BC last year were the results of money laundering, helping to fuel the province's skyrocketing housing prices, according to a new report. An expert panel on dirty money in the overall real estate market estimates that 5% of the value of 25%. And this money wasn't even layered in. They didn't even layer in this money. It was just dropped into real estate. The value of 2018 purchases were for laundering purposes, contributing to about 5% of the rise in house prices. The effect could be more significant in certain markets, including Metro Vancouver, according to the panel, which was commissioned by the provincial government. Another dirty money in real estate market accounted for the estimated 72% of the $7.4 billion that the experts believe was laundered in total BC last year. $7.4 billion. Our economy should work for regular people, not criminals, said BC Finance Minister. Housing should provide shelter, not a vehicle for proceeds of crime. What would you think? We're going to find out? Oh, you see that detached bungalow over there from 1910? And it's falling apart? That's $2 million. Yeah. What would you think we're going to find out? James said the province will be looking closely at 29 recommendations put forward by the report. Here's a link to it. Combating money laundering in BC real estate. The amount of lives that have been crippled. I think this crippled more than the war on drugs or the drug use. This has crippled and affected more lives than the whole war on drugs in the world. Because when a citizen of its own country that works as a doctor can't afford to live in his own city, we got problems, John. We got problems, Max. Frankie, we effed up somewhere. We definitely, Frankie, we effed up. For me, most important piece of action is transparency. That should have been put into since the time of Moses in law. Shining that light's taking away that opportunity to hide, she said. The panel was chaired by criminal law expert Maureen. I don't care. Its report was one of two released on Thursday to examine the influence of money laundering in BC's real estate market. Both paint an alarming picture of how criminals are using their homes to clean their cash. So we talked about shadow flipping, right? Where somebody, okay, so my neighbor, let's say I live in Bangladesh, okay? My neighbor is well off, I'm well off. We're going to buy a house in Canada, but we got all this illegal money. What do we do with it? So let's just buy a house in Canada, then I'll sell it to my neighbor in Bangladesh next door to me, that same house. So we didn't even see the house, we don't care. Then I just cleaned $2 million in a 1910 bungalow. Then if that bungalow in Bangladesh is probably like $800 US. And then he would sell it back to me, and then I would sell it back to him, and he will sell it back to me, and I'll sell it back to him. And then we've already cleaned, what, $10 million through Canada. Now we're going to move to Canada and pretty much dominate with our wealth. But Canada wasn't about domination of wealth 10 years ago. Canada was more about pride, constituting pillars, the constitution of I don't know how to say in English, like the pillars of our society: strength, justice, freedom, knowledge. It's gone, and it hurts me because, you know, I used to love this country a lot. I really used to love Canada a lot. And it's become something that none of us signed up for. Former RCMP Deputy Commissioner Peter produced a second report named Dirty Money Part 2, is a link here, which outlines some of the red flags that signal when illegal money is behind a real estate purchase. Okay, yeah. Why don't they just do what Washington State did? Do you know what Washington State was getting flooded with illegal money after BC, Vancouver put the foreign buyers tax on? And before they found loopholes to get back into the market, a lot of our real estate agents in British Columbia went down to Washington State to bring in more investors to come in. Because what they did was they actually made pamphlets of Seattle and the skyline and places to buy, all in Mandarin. Nothing was in English. And what they did now, what America did, was very simple. Declare where your money came from. That's it. That stopped complete entrance of money coming into Washington State like a light switch. You know how you turn off a light switch? You can't even count how fast. The second you hit that switch, you can't even count that fast till that light turns off. It's so fast. That's how fast they shut down their money laundering in Washington State, because they simply asked to declare where the money came from. And once you lie to Americans at the border, guess what happens when you lie to Americans at the border? They take everything. And they throw you in jail for 10 years until they, oh, this guy's still here. Hey, wait, who is that guy? Yeah, well, Johnny, he retired 10 years ago. He arrested this guy. He was lying. That's how it works in America. They go cowboy when it comes to lying at their border. So a year ago, a person that was name was German issued a first report, Dirty Money, detailing extensive links between money laundering and BC casinos. Both reports identify numerous gaps in regulatory system at both the federal and provincial levels that have allowed money laundering to flourish in real estate transactions. Here are just a few. Mortgage brokers, lawyers, home builders aren't required to report suspicious transactions to the Financial Transactions and Report Analysis Centro. Of course they're not. Because they're going to lose the deal. Then, there's a little flow of information between FinTrack and the law enforcement agencies. Of course there is. Because we want to bring in more wealth. BC's Land, Title, and Survey Authorities collects data on harassed way that makes it difficult to analyze trends. The database includes multiple spellings for every bank, along with homeowners who describe their occupants as things like super dad or domestic diva. Police agencies in BC have come to depend heavily on civil forfeiture system to deal with money laundering and proceeds of crime cases, rather than using criminal laws that were designed to dismantle criminal organizations. They never go after the criminal organizations, right? The recommended solutions. Regulating real estate developers through licensing system? Nah. Replacing the Mortgage Broker Act? Nah. Improving data sharing? Nah. Creating a financial investigations unit of BC? Nope. And making more professionals accountable? Nah. You know what the solution is? Here's a pen. I want you to declare where this money's coming from right here. And we're going to check it out. Put 3 references on that money. Here it is. That's it right here. This pen. You go ahead and declare where this money came from. That's the solution right there. I'm destroyed. Canada once was a beacon of light 10 years ago. Man. Canada, well, I mean, from the 80s when I grew up in Canada, in Toronto area, downtown Toronto. Canada was all you had to do was work part-time and you had everything. It hurts. It's crippling. We've lost so much. Just when you think things were going to get better. 5.3 billion. And that wasn't even layered money. That was just dropped into our system. The families, the torture people went through. People losing their homes because they thought they could keep up with this. People losing everything they've worked for. Families getting torn apart. People lost everything. And people taking out those reverse mortgages and using their homes as ATMs. So many people underwater right now. So many people owe more on their property than what the property is valued. I still remember those bull crap real estate agents. If you don't buy now, you'll never own nothing. You'll be completely bought out of the market. They were doing these projections. By 2025, a condo in Vancouver will be $1.6 million, and a house will be $3 to $4 million. That's what the projections were for 2025. That means Canadians will no longer be living in Canada. That's what will happen. And that's what's been happening. And I don't blame a lot of the doctors and nurses and registered nurses and all these people that emailed me that moved to the southern United States. I don't blame them. They could buy a decent 3-4 bedroom house for $200,000-$300,000 with a pool in a good area. Why would they want to enslave themselves in Canada? And that's my next agenda is how are cities going to fund their liabilities? How are cities going to fund their transit system, their doctors, their police, when all the taxpayers left, or people that actually paid taxes on their wages left? All those people working at those McDonald's and all those people like that, those are the people that pay big tax, and they pay, lots of them pay tax. And when you add up every employee working at Tim Hortons in those cities, that's a lot of cake. And then you got property tax, you got that. And then you got all these investors that own these empty properties and they just don't pay property tax. They don't care. So how are they going to flip the bill? That's number one. Number two, how are we going to keep professionals staying in Canada when they're like, you know what? I know how to do my job. I've been doing my job for 10 years and I'm just going to go south. You know, heck, I know people that moved to Mexico to be doctors and stuff. They make less, but in reality they make more because it costs less to live and they're happy. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you want to support my transmission, please share one of my videos, because we've lost it all. I really wish Canada was, I really wish people could know, the younger generations could know how Canada was 10 years back, 10 back years, until the early 80s and when I was around. It was pillars. It was strength, the pillar of strength, the pillar of freedom, the pillar of knowledge, the pillar of education, the pillar of a bright future. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments below. Tell me I'm delusional. Just tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Thanks for watching.